Exclusive new video out of Arlington, Virginia shows ICE agents apprehending a violent criminal alien, one with a prior rape conviction and a history of illegal crossing the border. Now, we're learning that man was recently booked on another felony offense, but the city of Arlington let him go. All because of the city's Democratic leaders that cut off all cooperation with ICE. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, here with my co-host, Harris Faulkner. And also joining us today, Kennedy, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Laura Trump, host of My View with Laura Trump, and Lawrence Jones, Fox and Friends co-host. Now first, let's go live to national correspondent Griff Jenkins with more on this story. Griff.
Yeah, hey, Emily. Look, this is a textbook case that exposes exactly the kind of criminal illegal aliens that sanctuary jurisdictions like Arlington County are protecting. Now, back in May, the county board voted to cut off all local cooperation with ICE, even for illegal aliens accused of being gang members, human traffickers, or even terrorists. Here's what they were saying at the time.
The actions of the current administration, as you indicated, run counter to our ideals and undermine public safety by, in many instances, fear-mongering.
Well, now this week, and in this exclusive video obtained by Fox, ICE arrested this man, Guatemalan national David Cabrera, convicted of felony rape back in 2015, previously deported multiple times after multiple illegal entries, booked into Arlington County's detention center for a felony probation violation this year. Then, when an ICE detainer was denied, Arlington released him to the streets last week, forcing ICE agents to have to track him down at large. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons says this puts everyone in danger, including his agents.
This is the whole reason why sanctuary jurisdictions and communities just do not keep America safe. It lets criminals back on the street to reoffend again. If a jurisdiction like Arlington would work with us, we wouldn't have to send ICE agents into the community. We would much rather arrest someone in a secure, safe environment. It's safer for my officers and agents.
Now, this comes as ICE agents are now facing an 830% increase in assaults from this time last year. And finally, Emily, DHS says they see a direct tie between the increase in these assaults to the increasingly hostile rhetoric from Democratic leaders. Emily?
Griff, thank you. And all of this comes as America's immigration agents are under assault like never seen before. ICE says that agents and their families have been getting doxxed online. And as Griff just reported, assaults on agents are up 830% this year alone. This agent was hit by a rock and hospitalized during a raid in California last week. And to make matters worse, a sitting congressman helped that violent mob get access to his identity. And ICE says this agent was dragged for nearly a block after a Honduran migrant attempted to escape law enforcement in his van. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons explained exactly how that situation played out. Watch.
My officers and agents did a traffic stop to go ahead and effectuate that final order removal, and he fled the scene. He went ahead, like you said, he dragged our officer, a couple hundred feet, causing multiple injuries. Luckily, he's going to be okay. But this is just one of the hundreds of cases across the country of these individuals that have been ordered deported or have committed crimes in the United States, yet ICE is demonized because we're effectuating the law. And, like you said, 830% increase in assaults on my officers and agents. It's totally unacceptable.
Well, now lawmakers like Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn are introducing new legislation to protect ICE officers, making it illegal to publicly disclose the identity of agents and their families. Laura, it's a good step, absolutely. But at the same time, in the interim, these ICE officers need to be protected.
Yeah, it's so scary to look at what's happened to these people. They're trying to enforce the law. I sat down for my show this weekend with a group of ICE agents. And to be honest with you, they all told me they had to ask their families if they were okay with them coming out and exposing their face and me giving their names, because this is consistently happening to these people. There's only one reason you would put their faces and their names out there and their information out there. It is to cause harm to them. That is absolutely disgusting, and we need to do everything we can to protect these individuals.
That's the thing, Lawrence. The comments that we've heard from lawmakers saying, oh, I need to see their identity to know who exactly is effectuating this. They're representing the state, and that's all you need to know. It only endangers them, and yet now we have lawmakers that are actively participating in the doxing. It's unacceptable, and I think there should be criminal repercussions for them.
You don't need to see their name. You see their badges that say federal agents. Look, the past administration had every opportunity when they had control of government to get an immigration reform bill done. They could have passed a law where people could have done it the right way. They could have set up the law the way they wanted to. They had control of it. They chose not to. They allowed 10 million people to come across the border. Those are the people that we know. That doesn't include the gotaways. And part of the people that came across that border, a lot of them are a part of criminal gangs. They have raped people. They have murdered people. They have cut off their ankle bracelets, as this one did when he drug an ICE agent. Part of the reason why they were going after him because he had a warrant for his arrest. Then he cut off the bracelet, and then the agents had to go after him. We live in a great country. And part of the reason why our country is great is because we have law and order. And when there are warrants out for your arrest, it is the duty of the federal agents to come pick you up. I wish the former president would have passed a law where these people could be rightfully in the country, but he didn't do that. And I know that he promised them that everything was going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. And so, look, the way that they're doing this right now, I hope it's not true, because a lot of these federal agents are my friends. But someone is going to get killed as a result of this. You can't throw bricks into a federal agent's car. There was a situation that happened last week where they shot a gun at a federal agent. We've already seen what's happened at several facilities in my home state of Texas where people showed up with the intent to kill federal agents. And the Democratic Party has not pushed back on it. We haven't heard statements from former presidents to condemn this. The lawmakers, when they do the Sunday shows, they haven't been asked to condemn this. So it's going to happen, and I just hope that we can get control of it.
And particularly in California, where I'm from, I mean, the local and officials and certainly the governor have not done anything to tamp down that rhetoric. And in fact, they've been fomenting it, because when you equate ICE with an entity that deserves somehow our disdain, and even worse, that is commensurate with fascism and Nazis and all the other things, I mean, why wouldn't people come out in droves to attack them? It's you know, I feel like we always expect violence from criminals. Criminals are going to criminal, right? But to have these elected officials that play this part in fomenting, you know, that vice mayor that called on the gangs to join in, it's not a joke. These are people's lives, Harris.
Yeah, it's more than that. I'm thinking in the state of New Jersey, in Newark, that ICE detention center, we've got a congresswoman facing charges right now.
Yes.
They were trying to break in. They didn't go through the proper protocol to get in, to be witnesses upon what might have been going on at the ICE detention facility. They're allowed to do that, be observers. But no, they thought they'd get rowdy because they're all flexing for social media. Yeah, well, she flexed up against that ICE agent's neck, which you can see in that video, and now she's going to have to lawyer up and spend the better part of her elected time not servicing her constituents, but trying to keep herself out of hot water and possibly prison. I do think that there is a layering of legality that I'm either ignorant of or we need more of. And I was saying to you off camera, Laura, can the president maybe do an executive order? I want to see something that says, if you are in this country illegally, and you are caught trying to go after an ICE agent, you lose your right to due process, not that you ever really had it anyway, because you're not a real U.S. citizen here. You broke into the country. You broke our first law. But if you do that, you go immediately. You attack one of our protectors, you're out. And by the way, don't even bother getting CP come back, CP home, and try to get back on the list. We don't want you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other level. And what happens if these great men and women decide they don't want to do that job?
We're done.
Because we are cooked.
Yeah. And that sentence enhancements, you know, in real life, sentence enhancements is any type of violence toward a cop and the like. So you would think when you're starting at not even being a citizen, then certainly it should be somehow there should be a repercussion that prevents them from even getting back in line.
At least work on it.
Yeah. Kennedy, I wanted to finish the segment with you on this point, which is that having immediate family members in law enforcement, if you could share what it is like as a family member with the fear of doxing and the reality of living with a loved one that goes out and serves this country and protects every day, willing to put their life on the line for the safety of us, and what that feels like and that perspective.
Yeah, and you know, when your spouse, your father, your uncle is a local cop, you know, you worry that they're going to come out and run into trouble and not come home. But now these people, and it's like, we all know law enforcement officers, they all have families, they all have little kids. And, you know, to worry that you've got sitting lawmakers who are encouraging the unwell and paid protesters to go after your entire family. It's really unfathomable. And, you know, it's like, that's not why people get into law enforcement. They get into law enforcement to fight bad guys. And part of the problem is these lawmakers, the governors and the legislators who are just trying to get a little bit of screen time, they can't acknowledge that there's a difference in people who come into this country. And if they want to make it easier for hardworking people to come here and make the country better, that's one thing. But at some point, you have to acknowledge the bad people who are here. And if ICE needs to change, then you do that through Congress.
That's right.
You don't do that by threatening someone, because they're not going to stop until one of these agents is killed. And I worry that that's only going to encourage them more.
Well, Laura, you mentioned that this week you had the opportunity to sit down with ICE agents for your show, My View with Laura Trump. And we have a little bit of that. We have a clip that I'd love to play. All right, let's do it.
We do have to worry about, you know, watching our backs. You know, people film us for only one reason, is to try and push other people to do harm on us. I mean, there's no other reason why you would take a picture of someone and post it somewhere other than to put them on blast.
Yeah, there's no other reason, as I said, that you would do this other than to have harm come to these people, come to their families. The really incredible thing, just to end on a positive note here, that I found after sitting down with these gentlemen, is that despite all that they've gone through, despite all the hate thrown towards them, the physical violence, they all say morale within their agency is at an all-time high. That is so much better than it was at any point over the past 4 years, because they have a president, a commander-in-chief who believes in their mission and has their back, and it makes all the difference.
Can I just say real quickly, and I tell this to my young brothers as well, whenever you have an issue with law enforcement, protest is never at the scene where you have an issue. You fight in court. You fight when things can be adjudicated. But you don't fight in the middle of the street. You fight for legislation. But the fact is, we have changed that standard. And what's going to happen is you're going to force law enforcement back to the wall. Look, I don't wear a federal badge, but I am a local cop, reservist. And when you push law enforcement back against the wall and they feel like they can't go home to their families, then we're going to have videos all over the place and say, is this shooting justified? Was this reaction justified? Well, what are they supposed to do? The judge signed on the warrant, told them to go pick up someone off the street, and the politicians that make the law said it was okay for people to resist arrest. That's not cool.
And statistically, the most dangerous moments for a law enforcement officer are effectuating warrants.
100%.
Well, guys, this Saturday at 10 p.m., My View with Laura Trump. It's going to be exciting. Don't miss it.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.